going to be making a gingerbread house using Google Drawings today. And so the first thing you want to do once you pull up Google Drawings is you want to add your title. And we're going to title this Gingerbread House so that when if you're going to go back and work on it, you can find your file if it has a name. So the first thing we're going to do is set the background. To set the background, you're just going to right click, go down to background. We're going to choose a gradient today, and we want it to look kind of like a sky. So we're going to go to some different blue gradients and see which one we like the best. You can choose that gradient. For me, that's a little bit too light. I want something a little bit darker. So I'm going to go back in and go to gradient and see what this one looks like. I do like that one better, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it. Now I'm going to make it look like there's some hills of snow at the bottom. But the first thing I need to do is just put a really small hill at the bottom. And so I'm going to go into my shape tool and I'm going to go to shapes. And I want something that is rounded on one side. So I'm going to use this shape over here, and it's called a flowchart delay. I'm going to add that to the bottom. I'm going to have to rotate it. So I'm going to take that little circle and move it around, and that's not quite flat. So I'm going to straighten it up just a little bit. And we're going to stretch it out as well. So we want to stretch it out all the way to the length, end to end. And we're going to stretch it down just a little bit to the bottom. And we're going to fill this with white. So we're going to go to color fill. We're just going to fill it with pure white. And we want our outline to be white as well. I'm going to stretch that out just a little bit more, just like that. And now we need to add some more hills of snow. So I'm going to go back to my shape tool, and I'm going to choose a shape that I can kind of stretch and create some different kinds of shapes of hills. So I'm going to go to what we call, I think it's a teardrop. Yep, teardrop. And I'm going to add a teardrop right here. It's already white with a white outline because of the colored fill that I used previously. And I want this flat side to go against the edge. So I'm going to flip it around and get it kind of closer to the edge. And then I'm going to stretch this out to make a hill however I want. And I'm just going to work with it just for a minute, make it fit into the edge a little bit. There we go. I might stretch this out just a little bit more. And I'm going to move it down a little bit, and I'm going to duplicate that. So I'm going to go into edit, and I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to right click on this image, and I want to rotate it. I'm going to flip it horizontally, and I'm going to scoot this all the way across to fit into my other side. Okay, so now I want to duplicate this snow hill just a few more times. So I'm going to go back into edit. I'm going to duplicate, and then I'm going to duplicate again. And I can make these snow hills smaller if I want to, and put it next to this one. I've got another one over here. Maybe I make this one smaller just so we look like we have some little hills of snow. However you want to do that. And I'm going to stretch this one out just a little bit. There we go. So it just looks like we have some little hills of snow. And I'm going to put my gingerbread house, actually, this bottom, I'm going to stretch this up just a little bit. I'm going to add my gingerbread house kind of in the middle of these snow hills. And so I'm going to go back to the shape tool, and I'm going to select a shape that I think will look good for a front of a gingerbread house. And so I'm going to go to look around, and there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. You can think of how you want your house shaped. Do you want it more square? Do you want it to have a round top? Do you want it to have a triangular top? So it's up to you. I'm going to choose this shape, and it's a regular pentagon. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click right here, and I'm going to start with a regular pentagon. I'm going to stretch it and enlarge it and make it really big, and I'm going to set it down, here. And I'm going to continue to, because I want this to be the focus of the entire composition. So now I'm going to fill with what I think is a gingerbread color, and I can use gradient or solid, it's up to you. We don't really have a brown in gradient, so we're going to choose something that's close, and then we're going to go back to the color tool and we're going to create a custom color. So when we're creating a custom color, we get to choose the lightest value, and then we get to choose the darkest value. The lightest value right now is very yellow, and that's why I don't think it looks like my gingerbread. So I'm going to go into, it's kind of a light dark, well, it's a dark orange, but we're going to go into that. But I need it to be a little bit lighter, so let's go into custom again. And then I can drag this over to the lighter side, and over in the top left corner you can see that color kind of changing, and I'm going to see what that looks like. It kind of looks like gingerbread color. But this side is too dark for me, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to choose something. I'm going to do another custom, and I'm going to do something a little bit lighter. And let's see what that looks like. That's a pretty good gingerbread color. So now I need the outline to match. So I'm going to go to my line color, and my customs are already down there, so I'm going to just match it. You can have any variation of a warm brownish golden color that you want, or you can kind of think outside the box and do something very colorful. All right, so now we're going to add the rooftop. So we're going to connect a couple of shapes when we do our rooftop, and there really isn't a shape that mimics a true roof. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our shapes, and then there's a shape right here, and it is a parallelogram, and I'm going to use this and create two of them and connect them together to create a roof. So I'm going to put one right here, and I'm going to rotate it. But I want my roof to be white, like there's snow or icing on it. So I'm going to fill it with white, and then I need my line of my shape to be white as well. And I'm going to make this kind of skinnier, and I'm going to scoot it up. You can see that this is lining up pretty well with the top. Okay. But I want to connect another one with it because I'm going to flip it around. And I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to flip it around because I like that angle down there, and I'm going to stretch it out. So now we have matching angles on both sides. And we're going to try to line these up to where it looks like just one solid shape. Pretty good. But I want this to be a little bit longer. I want it to hang off the edge a little bit. Perfect. Okay. So now I need to connect these two shapes. I'm going to show you a trick. You're going to push Control-Alt-G, G as in gingerbread, and you're going to click one shape, and you're going to click the other shape, and now they are connected for a duplicate. So now I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to duplicate exactly what I have, but now I'm going to move it over to this side. I'm going to flip it, so I'm going to right-click, I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to flip it horizontally. There we go. And it should be one piece, and I can line it up. Now I'll have to kind of work with it a little bit to make it perfect. And then I'm going to line this, stretch this side up, and they're going to overlap. And then I'm going to rotate just a little bit. I'm going to stretch this down. And it needs to be a little bit skinnier. I think I'm being a little bit too fat. All right, let's see what that looks like. I'm going to I now need to add doors and windows. So I'm going to go back to my shape tool, and we'll look at some shapes for doors. So we can have a rectangular door, which is pretty common. We have a door that's kind of rounded at the top, which is pretty common. So it really is your choice on how you want your door to look. I'm going to go ahead and choose the same flowchart delay, shape that I'm going to use. And I used it to on the bottom to create the snow hill, but now I'm going to use it to create a door. So I'm going to flip it around. And it's way too tiny right now, but that's okay. I'm going to move it over. And sometimes these lines will pop up and it'll show you that you've centered it on something else. So that's really helpful. I'm going to make this taller. I'm going to decide what color I want to make it. When you're creating a gingerbread house, typically you're using candy, cookies, gingerbread, icing, different colors of icing. So you really can have fun with this and make it really colorful like Candyland, or you can do something more traditional that looks more like a holiday gingerbread house. It really is your choice. So I'm going to stay a little traditional, and I'm going to choose my door to be this like a green color, which is kind of a typical holiday color. So I'm going to stretch this out a little bit more. We're going to color fill with green. I like that green. But I'm going to outline it with white, because remember I said how everything is put together with icing when you're creating a real gingerbread house? But that's a really thin line. So now I'm going to click on line weight, and I'm going to make it a little bit thicker until I think it looks like icing is around it. That looks good to me. And actually, I want my door to be even a little bit bigger now that I look at it. Perfect. All right, now we need a door handle. So door handle, I'm going to use a circle, but you can be creative and come up with a different shape. And what kind of candy, would you use for a door handle? I need to make it a little bit smaller. And usually your shapes will show up whatever previous colored fill that you used. So you'll just go in and change it. I'm going to change it to red. I'm going to keep the white outline next to it because it looks like icing was used. Maybe that's like a little Red Hot or some kind of candy to put that on there. And I think that my gingerbread house needs a window on it. And we can really kind of add any shape window we want. But let's look at the shapes and see what kind of shape I want to choose. Gingerbread houses tend to be kind of fun and cute. And so you can think of ways to do that. I think I want to use the heart shape for my window on my gingerbread house. But I don't want it to be red. I want it to look like the lights are on inside. So I'm going to use like a pale yellow. There we go. And you know what? I think I want to use a gradient pale yellow because it will look a little bit more, like there's a light shining. Perfect. But I need to make it smaller to fit inside. There you go. Perfect. Cute. Now, you know what? I think I need to make my door bigger so my window fits. There we go. Perfect. All right, so let's talk about creating some different windows. I'm going to go back to my shape tool, and there's a couple of shapes that really work well for windows. One of the shapes is going to be this one. It's called the bevel. And another one is going to be down here for round windows. It's called Flowchart Summing Junction. So these shapes are for more than just drawings. A lot of people use them to create flowcharts or presentations. We're going to try this beveled, and I'm going to click on the beveled, and you can see it's the color that I chose before, which is great if I want to keep it that way. And I can change the color of the outline as well, if I want it to be red or whatever. But I think I want my windows to be a gradient red. See, I like that. And maybe this is a certain kind of candy that we're putting on here. Maybe it's like a Jolly Rancher or something. Okay. So we need to make more than one window. So we're going to use our duplicate tool, but I'm going to bring this window down next to the door. There we go. And then I'm going to use my duplicate. So that way I know it's the exact same size. And the little red lines are popping up to show me that I've lined it equally on both sides. And there we go. But I think I want to change my outline to white. So it looks like icing was used on it. I like that better. All right, I would like to add like a little awning or overhanging over my little windows. So now I'm going to go back to my shape tool. There we go. Use the trapezoid. And I'm going to put it right here. But I don't want it to be red. But first I'm going to get the size right, and then I'll change the color, and then I'll duplicate it. And I'm going to move it over here. And those little red lines usually pop up to let me know that I've lined it up pretty good. Kind of a fun shaped window right here in the center. So let's go back to shapes. Using it's the flowchart delay, but I'm going to do some fun stuff to it because I do like the shape, and but you can kind of I can draw lines on it to make it look more like a window. So I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to make it wide and line it up with the door, maybe a little bit taller. I'm going to fill it with gradient red, just like I did with the beveled windows. There we go. But it's missing a border of some sort. I'm going to go ahead and change the outline to white, but I really need some lines on the inside. So let's go to the line tool, and we're going to use the first one, which is just a straight line. So we're going to click on that. And it may not be the color, but look at these points that they're showing me where my line points are. And I just clicked, and now it will show me that I can line it up right there. We need to change it to white, and we need to give it a heavier weight. We'll try 2. All right, let's try 3. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to draw another line, but I'm going to do a straight line across the center. And it already has the points for me. Look at there. And it's already the line weight and the color that I wanted. So now we have another window. We have a lot of blank space up here, so we need to add another window. So let's go to the shape tool. Let's do a different kind of window. I really like doing windows that are circular, and this one already has the lines in it, so we'll put this one here. And I want to make it bigger, so I'm going to take the corner, stretch it out, and I'm going to do a gradient in the background. Let me click. You have to have the little blue box around your shapes for the color tool to pop up. I know some students will be like, the color is not showing. We have to make sure that you're clicked on the shape itself, and then all the tools that you can use with the shape will pop up. So I just changed the line. I'm going to change it to 3. And then we have another one. Find something that looks a little bit like candy, or something I can make it look like candy. Here is this donut shape. And I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to click a donut right here. It's too big. It's already the color that I want, so that's good. It's already outlined in white. That's really good. I'm going to make it small. I'm going to duplicate once, twice. That's the 3rd time. And now I have probably too many, but we can always delete them. Okay, the Scribble tool. So we're going to go under line, and we're going to click Scribble. The line color is going to, hopefully it's still on white. There we go. So now we've got Scribble, and we can kind of use it as if we are using our icing to create some fun designs. So what we could do is add some fun designs over here on the side. And I'm going to draw. But it's not the right color or the right size, so we're going back to white. I don't know why it changed, but that's okay. I'm going to go to 3. I think I want it wider than that. Let's go to 4. That's good. That's good. So I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to get out of the Scribbles tool, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to rotate and flip horizontally. So now we have like a little fun decorative icing on there. Now I can take my icing tool, and I can add some more fun little swirls and squiggles in different places. But I think it's a little bit too thick for some of the things I want to do. So I'm going to go back to 4 points, and then I'm going to go back to my Scribble tool, and I'm going to add some fun stuff here on the little awnings over my little windows. And I'm just going to add some fun scribbles to kind of add to that gingerbread house look. So this is just freehanding. This is just you using the Scribble tool and freehanding. And if you wanted to do one side and duplicate it and copy it on the other side, you could definitely do that. I'm going to add some. Okay, so now I'm going to add some other things. We've got a lot of blank space around us. And I think actually I'm going to add a little bit of squiggle line around my door. There we go. That makes it look fun. We're going to add some things to the roof. We also need to add a chimney. So let me go to my shapes. I'm going to just get a regular rectangle, and I'm going to add it right here. And I'm going to make it a chimney shape. I'm going to show you a trick because we want it to look like it's sitting on the rooftop. So see how it's in front of our house? First, let's change the color. Gradient, there's my custom gingerbread. Now it doesn't look right because it's just a rectangle on top of the roof. And I'm still adjusting my roof line here. It's fine. But we need to push this behind the white rooftop. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to click on order and I'm going to put send to back. And now it is behind the white roof, which is exactly where we want it. The outline is black right now, but because we're using icing, I'm going to make it a thick white line. So it looks like we've added icing on the outside. I'm going to go back to my Scribble tool and hopefully it's still set on white, and I'm going to add some decoration. All right, that looks fun. Okay, so now it's time to start adding some other things. We're going to try to make some gumdrop shapes or maybe like lights that look like they're on the rooftop. So we're going to look at our shapes and see what our choices are. Something that kind of looks like a gumdrop, or maybe a light that would be on a house, like holiday lights. And I'm going to look through these and see which one. That one's kind of a cool shape. All right, we're going to try this one. Looks like it'd be shape of a candy, but we need to make it smaller. And we're going to choose some colors to line our rooftop. And I might just stick with my color theme of yellow, green, and red. I think that'll work. But we need to make this smaller. Okay, if we can't see what we're doing, you can always zoom in so you can see a little bit better what you're working on. And perfect. I say that, and I'll probably change it. So let's color fill with red and outline it with red. And we're going to duplicate this a couple of times. I'm going to show you another trick. We need 2 of these. And we're going to make a pattern of 3 colors. So we're going to put this one right next to it. And we're going to put this one right next to it. We can space them out just a little bit more so we can see the icing in between. But they're all the same shape. We need to change the color. So this one we're going to change to yellow. A little bit lighter yellow. And we're going to match the outline. And then we're going to change this one to green. And we're going to change the outline to green. Okay, so now we need to copy and paste this. But we don't want to copy and paste each one. We're going to group it and then copy and paste it, kind of like we did with the rooftop. So I'm going to push Control-Alt-G as a gingerbread. I'm going to click each thing that I want connected. Now that they're connected, I can go to Edit and duplicate 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now that we have these, we can move them and add them to our pattern. Sometimes the grouping, they get separated once you've copied and pasted. So if you need to regroup them, you're just going to push Control-Alt-G, click, click, click. Okay, so I want to put a line of these on the other side of the roof. So we're really going to be able to use our grouping tool, which is Control-Alt-G. And I am going to, let's start over, Control-Alt-G. I'm going to click, and I'm just going to click all the way down the line and group all of these together. And then I'm going to duplicate and put it on the other side of the roof line. It saves so much time. Edit, duplicate, and it worked. I'm going to get some more and continue filling the rooftop so that we have a lot of gumdrops on it. The only thing I'm going to do differently on these is I'm going to work on the other side, and then I'll add some individually to the peak. All right, that's looking really cute. So let's shrink it back down to just 100% so we can see what our composition looks like. I think it is time to add some things around our gingerbread house. And so let's add a pathway to the front door. I'm going to go to my shape tool, and I'm going to choose some trapezoids because the angle the trapezoid is will make it look like it is moving in space. It looks like it's close to us, and then it creates a pathway. Instead of just a straight rectangle, this creates the illusion that we can walk into the house. But we need to change the color. So I'm going to continue with my theme that I have, and I need something different than green because it's going to be against the green door. So maybe we'll try a red gradient to kind of match what we've done in the past. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter of a gradient, so I'm going to go to custom and see how dark this is right here. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit and still stick with red, but make it not as dark, and it still looks like a gradient. I'm going to make sure that my outline is also red, and there we go. I have a little walkway to my gingerbread house. So let's add some fun little lights or lighting along the pathway. Let's get something that's kind of a gumdrop shape, and we will move to this. This shape right here is called a flowchart manual operation, which we're not making flowcharts, but we're going to use this shape. And I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to make it smaller. A little bigger. And I want it to look like it is a glowing light. So let's go to gradient. You can go to the gradient yellow and make sure that we outline with a yellow, but we're going to go a little bit darker yellow because it makes it look like it's glowing. So I need a copy, and we can't really copy and paste, so we're going to duplicate. So I'm going to go to edit and duplicate, and I'm going to put one on the other side of the door as well, and it matches my heart shape on the door. So we're going to have like a little lighted path. I'm going to create some more. I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to duplicate one, and I'm going to make it smaller. So what we're going to do next is we're going to work on those trees in the back. And there's a couple of different ways we can do this. We're going to use a shape. We're going to use the triangle, and we're just going to stretch it out. And so I'm going to put a triangle here, and I'm going to make it really tall. It'll just kind of look like one of those evergreens. All right, so here it is. We want it to be green, so let's try gradient green. It'll give it a little bit more dimension, and that looks great. I'm going to add a green outline, and I want to duplicate this because I want a couple of them. So there, let's make 3 for right now. Let's put one over here on this side. Get out. Maybe we'll keep it over there. Maybe we're just getting it out of the way. I'm not sure. So I want one of these trees to look like it's in the background, and one of these trees look like it's in the foreground. So to make it look like it's in the background, I'm going to make it a little bit skinnier, and I need to put it behind the white snow mound or snow hill. So I'm going to right click, order, send to back, and there it is. It's behind the snow hill. This one looks great here. I think that this one I will make a little bit bigger, a little taller. There we go. Okay, so now maybe when we want to add some decorations to our trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Scribble tool, and I'm going to set it on white and do some icing kind of accents, and just make some what look like some white garland maybe is going around it. But this is completely freehand, so you're just using your mouse or your mouse pad, and it's probably not going to be the right color. It looks like it might be black or green at this point, but we're going to change it to white, and then we're going to change the line weight. Oh, it is. Okay. So let's make sure it's set on white. And then we're going to try 3. 3 works for me. All right, we're going to leave that. So I want to add, continue. Let's go back to Scribble. Let me make sure we're on Scribble. There we go. And we're going to draw some on here too. It should already be set to the correct line weight and the correct color, because it usually is set to whatever you previously used. We want to use a thick white line to kind of create this illusion like it's set in the snow, or maybe snow is sitting around it. And so I'm going to up my weight. We're going to try 8. We're just going to see what it does. I'm going to use my scribble line, and I'm going to kind of draw a rounded, yep, that's pretty good. I'm going to draw a couple of them to kind of fill in this space. And now it looks like there's snow surrounding it. You just kind of draw it in. There's a space. Just kind of scribble around it. This is our Scribble tool. So if you're really using icing, this is what you'd be doing. And there's a little spot right there. So we're going to ice over it. I want to put icing over that too. Looks great. So the bottom of our gingerbread house, I want to make it look kind of the same. And so I'm going to draw a line down here just so it looks like it's got a little fluffy icing snow around it. Perfect. Okay, I'm just going to continue adding my little row of Gumdrop Lights is what we'll call them. And I'm going to duplicate again, scoot it down. Duplicate. And remember, once I click off of it, they can become separate shapes, and I can move these individually if I want to spread them out just a little bit. And I'm actually going to cut and paste this one over here. Or I'll just drag it over here. Okay, so I'm going to, I'm going to drag this green one to the center, straighten it up a little bit. And you can kind of work with these. The good thing about, I'm going to duplicate a red one. The good thing about this being a gingerbread house is that if you've ever made one or you've seen one, you realize that there is not an exact perfection on everything. It is made with cookies, candy, and icing, basically. So, and gingerbread, of course. So if it's a little off and things aren't lined up exactly perfect, that's what a gingerbread house does. Okay, so I want to put a line of these on the other side of the roof. So we're really going to be able to use our grouping tool, which is Control-Alt-G. And I am going to, start over. Control-Alt-G. I'm going to click, and I'm just going to click all the way down the line and group all of these together. And then I'm going to duplicate and put it on the other side of the roof line. It saves so much time. Edit, duplicate. We've got another one, and we're going to drag it. Oops. We've got to group them back together. Control-Alt-G. And then we will drag them all the way across. This saves some time, even though it's a little bit tedious, it saves some time because it's better than copy and pasting the shape and changing the color each time, which you can do. All right, let's drag this whole thing over here. That's not what we meant to do. I'm going to do about half of it. It might be easier to drag that way. And it worked. I'm going to get some more and continue filling the rooftop so that we have a lot of gumdrops on it. The only thing I'm going to do differently on these is I'm going to work on the other side, and then I'll add some individually to the peak. We're going to duplicate, and then we're going to drag it up here. We're going to duplicate, and then we're going to drag it over, line it up here. I'm going to grab some of these. I'm going to duplicate. All right, I probably need a green one right there, so I'm just going to click on a random green one. Get this one right here, and I'm going to duplicate. Fill in this little gap here. All right, we have the gumdrops. All right, that's looking really cute. So let's shrink it back down to just 100% so we can see what our composition looks like. I think it is time to add some things around our gingerbread house. And so let's add a pathway to the front door. I'm going to go to my shape tool, and I'm going to choose some trapezoids because the angle the trapezoid is will make it look like it is moving in space. It looks like it's close to us, and then it creates a pathway. Instead of just a straight rectangle, this creates the illusion that we can walk into the house. But we need to change the color. So I'm going to continue with my theme that I have, and I need something different than green because it's going to be against the green door. So maybe we'll try a red gradient to kind of match what we've done in the past. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter of a gradient, so I'm going to go to custom. And see how dark this is right here. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit and still stick with red, but make it not as dark, and it still looks like a gradient. I'm going to make sure that my outline is also red, and there we go. I have a little walkway to my gingerbread house. So let's add some fun little lights or lighting along the pathway. Let's get something that's kind of a gumdrop shape, and we will move to this. This shape right here is called a flowchart manual operation, which we're not making flowcharts, but we're going to use a shape. And I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to make it smaller. A little bit bigger. And I want it to look like it is a glowing light. So let's go to gradient and go to the gradient yellow and make sure that we outline with a yellow, but we're going to go a little bit darker yellow because it makes it look like it's glowing. So I need to copy, and we can't really copy and paste, so we're going to duplicate. So I'm going to go to edit and duplicate, and I'm going to put one on the other side of the door as well, and it matches my heart shape on the door. So we're going to have like a little lighted path. I'm going to create some more. I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to duplicate one, and I'm going to make it smaller, or actually a little bit bigger. There we go. And this is going to help our lighted path as well. And I'm going to duplicate it so it's the same size, and I can put it on the other side. And here we go. And we have a little gumdrop lighted path right here. You can mess around with the placement a little bit. Okay, so we need to add something to the background, and the background needs to have like some trees or some forest of some sort. So I'm going to add some green trees to the back, and I'm looking at my house right now, and I'm wondering if there's anything else I want to add. I could add some more colorful candy around the house. These right here I'm still not completely satisfied with. I'm going to make them a little bit smaller and add one is what I'm thinking I'm going to do. I think I like putting them in a set of 3 instead of sets of 2. And I'm just going to make these a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to duplicate one, and then we'll have a row of 3 instead of 2. So edit, duplicate. I'm going to put it on the outside. I'm going to duplicate this one twice because I didn't like the shape of the other one. So 1, 2, I'm going to put this one right here. I'm going to put this one a little bit to the side, and then this one's going to go right in between. You're grabbing the right shape. And it's such a tiny little shape, you have to make sure that you're on it. Yep, we got it this time. Perfect. Okay, so now I've got 3 on each side. It looks a little bit more like a row of candy, which I like. So what we're going to do next is we're going to work on those trees in the back. And there's a couple of different ways we can do this. We're going to use a shape. We're going to use the triangle, and we're just going to stretch it out. And so I'm going to put a triangle here, and I'm going to make it really tall. It'll just kind of look like one of those evergreens. All right, so here it is. We want it to be green, so let's try gradient green. It'll give it a little bit more dimension, and that looks great. I'm going to add a green outline. And I want to duplicate this because I want a couple of them. So there, let's make 3 for right now. Let's put one over here on this side. Maybe we'll keep it over there. Maybe we're just getting it out of the way. I'm not sure. So I want one of these trees to look like it's in the background, and one of these trees look like it's in the foreground. So to make it look like it's in the background, I'm going to make it a little bit skinnier, and I need to put it behind the white snow mound or snow hill. So I'm going to right click, order, send it back. And there it is, it's behind the snow hill. This one looks great here. I think that this one I will make a little bit bigger, a little taller. There we go. Okay, so now maybe when we want to add some decorations to our trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Scribble tool, and I'm going to set it on white and do some icing kind of accents, and just make some what look like some white garland maybe is going around it. But this is completely freehand, so you're just using your mouse or your mouse pad, and it's probably not going to be the right color. It looks like it might be black or green at this point, but we're going to change it to white, and then we're going to change the line weight. Oh, it is. Okay, so let's make sure it's set on white. And then we're going to try 3. 3 works for me. All right, we're going to leave that. So I want to add, continue. Let's go back to Scribble. Let me make sure we're on Scribble. There we go. And we're going to draw some on here too. It should already be set to the correct line weight and the correct color, because it usually is set to whatever you previously used. And it's not. That's okay. We can change it. And we're going to put it on 3, just like the other one. So let's see if we got lucky on this one. This is all freehand. So when you're creating a gingerbread house with real ingredients, it's 3-dimensional, not digital, you do a lot of freehanding. So it definitely has that look of freehanding. Okay, so when we have little trees, little evergreens or pine trees, or whatever you want to call them, they don't have flat bottoms. And so we want to use a thick white line to kind of create this illusion like it's set in the snow, or maybe snow is sitting around it. And so I'm going to up my weight. We're going to try 8. We're just going to see what it does. I'm going to use my scribble line, and I'm going to kind of draw a rounded, yep, that's pretty good. I'm going to draw a couple of them to kind of fill in this space. And now it looks like there's snow surrounding it. You just kind of draw it in. There's a space. Just kind of scribble around it. This is our Scribble tool. So if you're really using icing, this is what you'd be doing. There's a little spot right there, so we're going to ice over it. I want to put icing over that too. Looks great. So the bottom of our gingerbread house, I want to make it look kind of the same. And so I'm going to draw a line down here, just so it looks like it's got some little fluffy icing snow around it. Perfect. Okay. Okay, we need to put some finishing touches on our gingerbread house. And there's a couple of things I can see that I already want to straighten up. And one is the weight line on my trees are not the same. So I'm going to click on this weight line right here, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller to make it match. So that looks better. I also think that my gingerbread house needs to be adjusted a little bit. Perfect. I'm going to add some decorations to my trees, and so I'm going to get the shape tool. I'm going to get a circle. I'm going to make a really small circle, and so I want to zoom in. And this way you can really see what you're doing up close. And I want my circle, it's going to look like little decorations on these trees. Make it small. And I'm going to color fill it with a gradient red. And I want to make sure my outline is red as well. Make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to just place these around my tree. I'm going to duplicate. Right here on top of the tree. I'm going to fill it with yellow, but I'm going to do a gradient yellow so it looks like it's glowing. I'm going to outline it with a little bit darker yellow. Perfect. So I want to duplicate this. I think I'm done with my gingerbread house. When you're making your gingerbread house, you can make a lot of choices and different ways to make trees or other kinds of light elements around your gingerbread house. You can add more things to the sky. You can use a different color scheme, and your gingerbread house does not have to be a gingerbread color. You can make it any color that you want. You can go with a Candyland theme or a typical holiday theme. It's really your choice.